Hyun-woo wiped the sweat from his forehead and stared at the broken engine in front of him. Another day. Another impossible repair job on Station Meridian 7. The station floated at the edge of human space, far from anything important. It was old, dirty, and falling apart, just like everything else in his life. He was 28 years old and worked as a mechanic. Not a fancy mechanic on a nice ship or a big station. No, he fixed whatever junk came through the salvage dock. People brought him broken things, and he made them work again. The pay was terrible. The hours were long. But it was work, and work meant food and a small room to sleep in. Hyun-woo, got another salvage for you. His boss, a fat man named Tae-min, shouted from across the dock. Alien ship. Completely destroyed. See if there's anything worth selling. Hyun-woo nodded and grabbed his tools. Salvage work was the worst. You never knew what you'd find in a destroyed ship. Sometimes it was valuable parts. Sometimes it was nothing. Sometimes it was bodies. He floated through space in his old suit, tethered to the station by a safety cable. The alien ship was small, torn in half by weapons fire. It spun slowly in the darkness. Hyun-woo attached himself to the hull and cut through the outer door. Inside, everything was dark and cold. His helmet light cut through the shadows. Broken equipment floated everywhere. Sparks jumped from damaged wires. He moved carefully, looking for anything valuable. Computer parts, power cells, navigation systems, anything he could sell. Then he heard it. A small sound. A weak cry. Hyun-woo froze. He turned his light toward the sound. In the corner, trapped under a fallen metal beam, was a small creature. It was white. Pure white, like snow. It had 4 legs, a long tail, and pointed ears. It looked like the cats he'd seen in old Earth videos, but its eyes glowed red in the darkness. The creature was injured. Its back leg was bent at a wrong angle, clearly broken. Blue blood pooled around it. It looked up at him and made that sound again. A weak, painful cry. Hyun-woo should have left it. That's what anyone else would do. Alien creatures were dangerous. It might have diseases. It might attack him. And even if he saved it, what then? The station would confiscate it. They'd probably kill it or sell it to a research lab. But Hyun-woo couldn't walk away. The creature's eyes looked at him with such fear and pain. It was just a small, helpless thing that was going to die alone in the dark. Okay, he whispered. Okay, I've got you. He carefully lifted the metal beam. The creature tried to crawl away but couldn't move its broken leg. Hyun-woo gently picked it up. It was so light, barely 3 kilograms. It struggled weakly in his arms, making frightened sounds. Shh, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Getting the creature back to the station without anyone seeing was hard. Hyun-woo hid it inside a salvage container, cushioned with old rags. He told Tae-min the ship had nothing valuable and went straight to his small room. His room was tiny. Just a bed, a small table, and a storage locker. But it was private. He laid the creature on his bed and looked at the injured leg. The bone was broken, badly. Without help, the creature would die. Hyun-woo had no medical training. He'd never treated an alien before. He didn't even know what this species was. But he knew about fixing things. Broken things could be repaired if you were careful and patient. He used metal rods from his spare parts to make a splint. He wrapped the leg carefully with clean cloth. The creature whimpered, but didn't try to bite him. It seemed to understand. He was helping. There, Hyun-woo said softly. That should hold it together, while it heals. The next problem was food. What did this creature eat? He tried giving it water. The creature drank a little. He tried his protein rations. The creature sniffed them and took small bites. Good enough. Days turned into weeks. Hyun-woo went to work every day, acting normal. At night, he took care of the creature. He changed the bandages. He fed it. He talked to it, even though it couldn't understand him. "I'm going to call you Snow," he said one night. "Because you're white like snow." Simple name for a simple creature. Snow's leg healed slowly. After 2 weeks, the creature could put weight on it. After 3 weeks, it could walk with a small limp. Snow became less afraid. It would purr when Hyunwoo petted it. It would curl up next to him when he slept. Hyunwoo knew he couldn't keep Snow forever. The station was no place for a living creature. But he didn't know where else Snow could go. One morning, Hyunwoo woke up and Snow was gone. The ventilation grate was open. The creature must have squeezed through during the night. Hyunwoo searched his room, the corridors, everywhere he could. But Snow had disappeared. He felt a strange sadness. He'd gotten used to having the small creature around. But maybe it was better this way. Snow was healed now. Maybe it could survive on its own somewhere in the station's lower levels. After a few days, Hyunwoo stopped thinking about it. Life went back to normal. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. The weeks passed. Then months. He met a woman named Ji-woo, who worked in navigation. They started dating. Life moved forward. Within a year, Hyunwoo had completely forgotten about the small white creature he'd saved. It was just a strange moment in his life. Not important enough to remember. He had no idea that this small act of kindness would one day change the entire galaxy. He had no idea that the creature he called Snow would remember him forever. He had no idea that 15 years later, that memory would save humanity from extinction. But that day was far in the future. For now, Hyunwoo was just a tired mechanic trying to survive another day on a forgotten station at the edge of space. 15 years changed everything. Hyunwoo was 43 now. His hair had gray in it. His back hurt when he worked too long. But life was good. Much better than those early days on Meridian 7. He was chief mechanic on the Daishin Runner, a cargo ship that traveled between human colonies. The ship wasn't fancy, but it was solid and reliable. Just like Hyunwoo liked it. His wife, Ji-woo, was the navigator. They'd gotten married 10 years ago. She was smart, funny, and kept him calm when things went wrong, which was often, because space travel was never simple. "Hyunwoo, come look at this." Ji-woo called from the bridge. Her voice sounded worried. Hyunwoo climbed up from the engine room, wiping grease from his hands. Youngsik, his 20-year-old apprentice, followed behind him. The kid was eager to learn everything, always asking questions. On the bridge screen, Ji-woo had the news feeds playing. Every channel showed the same thing. War. Invasion. Panic. The Velcron Empire has attacked 3 human colonies in the past week, the news reporter said. Military forces are overwhelmed. The Velcron show no mercy. They destroy everything. Cities burned to ash. Millions dead. No survivors. Hyunwoo felt cold fear in his stomach. He'd heard of the Velcron. Everyone had. They were a powerful alien race that conquered other species. They took what they wanted and killed everyone else. Now, they were coming for humanity. "We need to get away from the border zones," Ji-woo said. "Head deeper into human space, where it's safer." "Agreed," Hyunwoo said. "Plot a course away from..." Alarms screamed through the ship. Red lights flashed everywhere. Youngsik jumped in panic. "What's happening?" the young man shouted. Hyunwoo ran to the engine controls. His heart sank. "Main engine failure. The power core just died. We're dead in space. Can you fix it?" Ji-woo asked. "Not quickly. This will take hours, maybe days." "We don't have hours," Ji-woo said, pointing at the scanner screen. 3 Velcron warships just entered the area. They're heading straight for us. The next 20 minutes were the worst of Hyunwoo's life. He worked frantically on the engines, while Ji-woo tried everything to hide their ship's signal. Youngsik helped where he could, his hands shaking with fear. The Velcron ships got closer. They were huge, covered in weapons, dark and angular, like giant knives cutting through space. They would reach the Dacian runner in less than 10 minutes. "I got emergency power," Hyunwoo said. "But it's not enough to run. We can barely move. Then we're dead." Youngsik whispered. Jiwoo grabbed Hyunwoo's hand. They looked at each other. 15 years of marriage, a good life together. And now it would end here, in empty space, killed by aliens who didn't even care about their names. The Velcron ships were so close now, their weapons charged up, glowing with deadly energy. On the screen, Hyunwoo could see the guns turning toward them. Then space itself broke open. It was like reality tore apart. Massive portals of swirling energy appeared everywhere. Ships came through those portals. Dozens of ships. Hundreds of ships. The biggest fleet Hyunwoo had ever seen. "What is that?" Youngsik breathed. The ships were beautiful. Sleek and white, covered in silver patterns. They moved with incredible grace, like dancers in the sky. Each one bore a symbol that Hyunwoo didn't recognize. A white claw on a blue background. "Those markings," Jiwoo said, her voice full of shock. "That's the Felinar Commonwealth." The Felinar? Hyunwoo had heard of them. Everyone had. They were a mysterious alien race that never talked to other species. They stayed in their own territory and ignored the rest of the galaxy. Nobody had ever seen them fight. But they were fighting now. The Felinar fleet moved like lightning. Their weapons fired with terrible precision. The Velcron warships tried to fight back, but they might as well have been children fighting trained soldiers. In less than 5 minutes, all 3 Velcron ships were destroyed, just debris floating in space. The Dacian runner crew stared in silence. The Felinar fleet hung in space around them. The largest ship, a massive dreadnought, was the size of a small city. The words, "White Claw," were written on its hull. "Why did they save us?" Youngsik asked. "The Felinar don't save anyone," Jiwoo said. "They don't get involved in other species' problems. That's their whole thing. They've ignored every war, every disaster, every plea for help for hundreds of years. Well, they just saved us," Hyunwoo said. "Maybe they changed their minds." A communication signal came through. Jiwoo answered it. The message was, "Text only." Translated into human language. "We seek the one called Hyunwoo. Please respond." All 3 of them stared at the screen. Youngsik looked at Hyunwoo with wide eyes. "They're asking for you? Why would they know your name?" Hyunwoo had no idea. His mind raced through possibilities. Had he done something wrong? Did he repair something that belonged to them? He couldn't think of any connection to the Felinar. "This must be a mistake," he said. Another message came through. "There is no mistake. Hyunwoo, formerly of Station Meridian 7, currently chief mechanic of the Dacian runner. We request your presence aboard the White Claw. Immediately." Jiwoo grabbed his arm. "Don't go. This could be a trap." "If I don't go, they might destroy us," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Or they might leave and let the Velcron find us. Either way, we're dead." "I'll go with you," Youngsik said bravely, though his voice shook. "No," Hyunwoo said firmly. "You stay here. Keep the ship running. Take care of Jiwoo if I don't come back." Jiwoo's eyes filled with tears. Hyunwoo kissed her forehead. "I will. I promise." He sent a response accepting their request. Within minutes, a small Felinar shuttle arrived at their airlock. Hyunwoo put on his suit and prepared to board. His hands were steady, but his heart raced. "I love you," Jiwoo said. "I love you too." Hyunwoo stepped through the airlock into the Felinar shuttle. The door closed behind him. The shuttle disconnected and flew toward the massive dreadnought. Hyunwoo looked back at the Daishin runner, getting smaller in the distance. He wondered if he'd ever see it again. He wondered what the Felinar wanted with a simple mechanic. He had no idea that his entire life was about to change. That a small act of kindness, from 15 years ago, was about to be revealed. That the galaxy would never be the same. The shuttle entered the White Claw. The doors closed behind it. Hyunwoo took a deep breath and prepared to face whatever came next. The inside of the Felinar shuttle was unlike anything Hyunwoo had ever seen. Everything was smooth and white, with silver patterns that seemed to glow softly. The air smelled clean, like fresh rain. Strange but not unpleasant. The shuttle pilot didn't speak. Hyunwoo couldn't even see the pilot clearly through the frosted glass partition. He sat in silence, his mind spinning with questions. Why did they want him? How did they know his name? What had he done? The shuttle landed inside the White Claw's docking bay. When the doors opened, Hyunwoo stepped out into a massive space. The bay could hold hundreds of ships. Everything was pristine and organized, not like human ships, where things were patched together and covered in wear. Then he saw them, the Felinar. They stood in 2 lines, creating a path for him to walk through. There must have been 50 of them. They were tall, most around 7 feet. Their bodies were covered in short fur, ranging in colors from gold to dark brown to gray. They had feline features with pointed ears, sharp eyes, and long tails that moved constantly. But what struck Hyunwoo most was how they looked at him. Every single one stared with intense focus. Some had expressions he couldn't read. Others seemed almost respectful. It made no sense. 2 Felinar warriors stepped forward. They wore armor that looked both ceremonial and functional. One had golden fur, the other was dark gray. They bowed slightly to him. Actually, bowed. "Follow us, honored guest," the golden one said in perfect human language. Honored guest? Hyunwoo was too confused to argue. He walked between them down the path. The other Felinar watched him pass. None of them spoke. The silence was heavy and strange. The corridors of the White Claw were incredible. High ceilings, beautiful artwork on the walls, lighting that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. Everything was clean and precise. Hyunwoo felt like a dirty rag in a palace. They walked for what felt like forever. Through corridor after corridor, past rooms full of technology and weapons, past training areas where Felinar warriors practiced combat moves that were too fast to follow clearly. Finally, they reached a large door. It was 3 times as tall as Hyunwoo, made of white metal with intricate silver designs. The 2 warrior guards stopped. "The Supreme Commander waits inside," the Golden One said. "Show respect." The doors opened silently. Beyond them was a massive chamber. The ceiling was high, covered in lights that looked like stars. The walls showed images of space, planets, and battles. At the far end of the room, on a raised platform, sat a throne made of white stone, and on that throne sat the largest Felinar Hyunwoo had seen, nearly 8 feet tall, even while sitting. Covered in pure white fur, not a single dark hair anywhere. Red eyes that glowed in the dim light. The creature wore armor that looked ancient and priceless, decorated with symbols of rank and power. This was the Supreme Commander, the leader of the Felinar military, one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And Hyunwoo, a simple mechanic, was standing in front of her. Because yes, the voice that spoke was definitely female. Deep and powerful, but feminine. "Come closer, Hyunwoo." He walked forward on shaking legs. He stopped at the base of the platform, looking up at the massive white Felinar. She stared down at him with those red eyes. Hyunwoo felt like an insect under a microscope. Then the Supreme Commander stood. She was huge, her presence overwhelming. She walked down the steps of the platform with smooth grace. Each step was silent, despite her size. She stopped directly in front of Hyunwoo, towering over him. "Do you remember me, gentle one?" she asked softly. Hyunwoo's mind went blank. Remember? He'd never met a Felinar before in his life. He'd certainly never met their Supreme Commander. I don't understand, he said. I've never. The Supreme Commander shifted her weight slightly. Her right hind leg moved, and Hyun-woo saw it. A small imperfection in her movement. A tiny limp, barely noticeable. An old injury that had healed but never quite perfectly. A broken leg, healed with a makeshift splint. Pure white fur. Red eyes. The memory hit him like a physical blow. A small creature trapped in a destroyed ship. Blue blood. Weak cries in the darkness. 3 weeks of careful care. A creature he'd called Snow. No, Hyun-woo whispered. That's impossible. You can't be. But I am, the Supreme Commander said. Her voice was gentle now, almost tender. You saved my life 15 years ago on Station Meridian 7. You found me in the wreckage of my ship. My leg was broken. I was dying. You took me to your home. You fed me. You healed me. You asked for nothing in return. Hyun-woo's legs felt weak. You were so small. Just a little creature. I thought you were just an animal. I was young, she said. Not yet fully grown. I was on my coming-of-age trial. A journey every Felinar royal must take. My ship was ambushed by pirates. I should have died there. According to Felinar tradition, I should have died. The weak do not deserve to survive. She lowered her head until her eyes were level with his. But you didn't know our traditions. You didn't know I was royalty. You didn't know I could offer you rewards. Artine, you saved me because I was hurt and you couldn't walk away. That is something we Felinar do not understand. That is something rare in this galaxy. I didn't do anything special, Hyun-woo said weakly. Anyone would have. No. The Supreme Commander interrupted. No one else would have. I was in that wreckage for 3 days before you found me. 7 salvage teams came before you. They all saw me. They all left me to die. Only you stopped. Only you cared. She stood up straight again, her voice becoming formal and powerful. I am Baekseol, Supreme Commander of the First Fleet, Princess of the Felinar Royal House, Guardian of the Commonwealth. I chose this name to honor you. In your language, it means white snow. The simple name you gave me when I was helpless. Hyun-woo felt tears in his eyes. He didn't know why. I forgot about you. I'm sorry. Life moved on, and I just forgot. I know, Baekseol said. That makes it even more meaningful. You saved me and forgot, because to you, it was simply the right thing to do. Not an investment. Not a transaction. Just kindness. She placed one large paw on his shoulder. The weight was gentle, despite her size. I never forgot you, Hyun-woo. Every day for 15 years, I remembered the human who showed mercy when he had nothing to gain. I searched for you. It took time, but I found you. And when I learned your species was facing extinction, I knew what I had to do. The Velkron invasion, Hyun-woo said. You came to fight them. But why? Your people don't get involved in other species' wars. Baekseol's eyes blazed with fierce determination. Because I will not let the species that produce such kindness be destroyed. Because you saved me when I couldn't repay you. Because the galaxy needs more beings like you, not fewer. She stepped back and gestured around the room. This entire fleet is here because of you. Because one human mechanic couldn't walk away from a suffering creature. Your kindness 15 years ago just saved your entire species. Remember that. Hyun-woo didn't know what to say. His mind couldn't process it all. A small act he'd forgotten had changed everything. The invasion, the war, the survival of humanity. All of it connected to one night when he couldn't leave an injured creature to die. Come, Baekseol said. You must be exhausted. Rest here while I attend to the war. We have much to discuss when you're ready. She led him to a comfortable room, more luxury than he'd ever experienced. Before she left, she looked back at him one more time. Thank you, she said simply, for everything. Then she was gone. and Hyun-woo was alone with his thoughts, trying to understand how his world had just completely changed. Hyun-woo spent 3 days on the White Claw. The room they gave him was bigger than his entire home had been on Station Meridian 7. Soft bed, real food, a window that showed the stars. It felt like a dream, but the war was very real. Through the window, he watched Felinar ships jump in and out of space. They moved in perfect coordination, like a single organism. News feeds from human space showed the results. The Velcron were being pushed back. Entire invasion fleets destroyed. Colonies saved. Humanity was winning. And it was all because of Baekseol's intervention. On the 3rd day, Baekseol came to see him. She was alone this time, without guards or ceremony. She sat down in a chair that had been specially made for Felinar bodies. Hyun-woo sat across from her, feeling small, but no longer afraid. "I owe you an explanation," Baekseol said, "about why this fleet is here, about what I risked to save your people." "You said it was because of what I did," Hyun-woo replied. "Yes, but there is more." Baekseol looked out the window at the stars. "The Felinar Commonwealth is old, Hyun-woo. We have existed for 10,000 years. We are strong, advanced, and powerful. But we are also cold. We believe in survival of the fittest. The weak die. The strong survive. That is our way." She turned back to him. "When I was found injured in that wreckage, by Felinar tradition, I should have been left to die. My survival trial had failed. I was weak. But you didn't know that. You saw a suffering creature and helped. This confused me deeply." "Why?" Hyun-woo asked. "Because it was illogical. I couldn't repay you. I might have died anyway, making your effort wasted. I could have bitten you, or carried disease. By every practical measure, helping me was a bad decision." Baekseol leaned forward. "Yet you did it anyway." This haunted me. I spent years trying to understand why. She stood and paced the room, her tail swishing. "When I returned home, I told the Royal Council about you. They were fascinated. They sent observers to study humans. What they found shocked us. Your species helps each other even when it costs you. You save strangers. You adopt orphaned animals. You create art and music with no survival purpose. You cry over the deaths of people you never met. That just makes us human," Hyun-woo said quietly. "Exactly. And the galaxy has never seen anything like it." Baekseol stopped pacing. "When the Velcron invaded human space, I went to the High Council. I begged them to intervene. I told them that humanity was special, worth saving. They refused. They said other species wars were not our concern. But you came anyway," Hyun-woo said. "I defied direct orders from the High Council." Baekseol's voice was heavy. "I took command of the First Fleet, the largest and most powerful fleet in Felinar space. I told my warriors we were coming here, and if they didn't want to follow, they could stay behind. Not a single one stayed. They all came." Hyun-woo stared at her. "You risked everything. Your position, your honor, maybe your life. Why?" "Because I couldn't let your species die." Baekseol's red eyes met his. "In Felinar culture, we have something called a life debt. If someone saves your life, you owe them everything until that debt is repaid. But more than duty, I came because I wanted to. I remembered your gentle hands when you set my broken leg, your soft voice when you talked to me even though you thought I couldn't understand, your willingness to share your food when you barely had enough for yourself." She walked to the window and looked out at human space. "The galaxy is cruel, Hyun-woo. Species conquer each other. The strong destroy the weak. Mercy is rare. Kindness is rarer. Your people have something precious that most of us have lost. I couldn't let the Velcron burn that away. News reports were playing on a screen in the room. Human broadcasters talking about the miracle of the Felinar intervention. Military analysts shocked by the sudden alliance. Historians calling it unprecedented. The war is turning, Baxiol said. The Velcron are retreating. They didn't expect us to intervene. They certainly didn't expect us to fight this hard. Within 3 months, they will sue for peace. Because of you, Hyunwoo said. Because of you, Baxiol corrected. Your kindness started this. Never forget that. She turned to face him fully. I must offer you something. In Felinar tradition, the life debt must be balanced. Ask me for anything. Wealth, position, power, technology, whatever you want. It's yours. Hyunwoo thought about it. He could ask for so much. Money to never work again. A place in the Felinar government. Advanced technology that would make him famous. But he thought about Jiwoo waiting for him on the Daishin runner. Youngsik, probably worrying himself sick. The simple life they had together. I want my crew to be safe, he said finally. I want to go back to my ship and my wife. I want to keep working as a mechanic. That's all I need. Baxiol stared at him for a long moment. Then she laughed. It was a warm, genuine sound. Of course that's what you'd ask for. I should have known. The man who saved me asking nothing is the same man who saves his species and asks for nothing. I'm just a mechanic, Hyunwoo said. You are so much more than that. Baxiol walked to him and placed her paw on his shoulder again. But I will honor your wish. Your ship will be protected. You may return to your life. But know this, Hyunwoo. You have a friend in the Felinar Commonwealth now. If you ever need anything, call for me. I will come. Over the next few weeks, everything changed. The Felinar fleet pushed the Velcron completely out of human space. A peace treaty was negotiated. The Velcron agreed to stay out of this region of space forever, or face total war with the Felinar. Then came the big announcement. The Felinar Commonwealth was opening diplomatic relations with humanity for the first time in recorded history. Baxiol would serve as ambassador. A formal alliance would be created. The treaty ceremony was held on Earth, at the United Human Government headquarters. Leaders from every human colony attended. The Felinar sent a delegation of nobles and warriors. The whole thing was broadcast across human space. Hyunwoo didn't want to go, but Baxiol insisted. He stood on the stage in borrowed formal clothes, feeling completely out of place. Jiwoo stood beside him, squeezing his hand. Youngsik watched from the audience, looking starstruck. The treaty was called the Covenant of Snow. Baxiol insisted on that name. When asked why, she told the whole story. Everything. How a poor mechanic found an injured alien. How he saved her without knowing who she was. How he forgot about it because to him, it was just the right thing to do. The room was silent as she spoke. When she finished, she looked directly at Hyunwoo. This man, this simple mechanic, saved my life, expecting nothing. That act of pure kindness has now saved billions. Let this treaty stand as a reminder that the smallest acts can echo across the stars. That mercy is not weakness. That compassion is the greatest strength any species can have. The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed everywhere. Hyunwoo wanted to disappear. He'd never asked for this attention. He'd just helped a hurt creature. That was all. Later, after the ceremony, Baxiol found him trying to hide in a quiet corner. I'm sorry, she said. I just want to go home, Hyunwoo admitted. I know. And you can. But first, let me say one more thing. Baxiol knelt down so they were eye to eye. Thank you, my friend, for seeing me when I was helpless, for treating me with kindness when you had every reason not to. You changed my life. You changed my entire species' view of the universe. Never doubt that what you did mattered. Hyunwoo smiled. I'm glad you're okay, Snow. Baek Seol laughed at the old nickname. And I'm glad you're okay too, gentle one. They stood together, looking out at Earth, spinning below. A human and a Felinar, an unlikely friendship born from a moment of kindness that neither would ever forget. 5 years passed since the Covenant of Snow was signed. 5 years of peace between humans and Felinar. 5 years of changes that nobody could have imagined. The treaty brought more than just peace. It brought trade, technology exchange, and cultural mixing. Felinar ships docked at human stations. Human diplomats visited Felinar worlds. Children on both sides learned about each other in schools. The galaxy was different now. Hyunwoo's life changed too, though he tried to keep it simple. The government offered him money, positions, medals, and titles. He refused most of it. He accepted only enough credits to buy a newer, better ship for his crew, and a small pension that meant he never had to worry about money again. The new ship was called the Snow's Friend. Though Hyunwoo argued against that name, Ji-woo insisted, and she usually won their arguments. The ship was beautiful. Better engines, comfortable quarters, and equipment that actually worked the first time. Young-sik, now 25, served as co-pilot and still worked as Hyunwoo's apprentice, but privacy was impossible. Everyone knew his story. The mechanic and the cat was taught in schools. Children's books were written about it. Artists made paintings and statues. Hyunwoo became a symbol of human kindness, whether he wanted to be or not. Another interview request, Ji-woo said one morning, looking at their messages. This one from a Felinar news organization. Tell them no, Hyunwoo said, working on the engine. Same as always. You know people want to hear from you. They've heard everything already. I helped an injured animal. That's it. I don't understand why everyone makes such a big deal about it. Ji-woo walked over and kissed his cheek. Because most people wouldn't have done it, and because it saved the world. That's worth celebrating. The door chimed. Young-sik's voice came over the intercom. Boss? You have a visitor. A really important visitor, Hyunwoo sighed. Who now? Just, come see. He climbed out of the engine room and went to the airlock. Standing there was Baek Seol, wearing simple travel clothes instead of her armor. She visited sometimes, always unannounced. Usually when she needed a break from her duties as ambassador. But she wasn't alone. Next to her stood a small Felinar child, maybe 5 years old, in human terms. Pure, white fur, like her mother. Bright red eyes full of curiosity. A long tail that swished with excitement. Hyunwoo, Baek Seol said warmly. I want you to meet my daughter, Hai-won. The little one looked up at him with wonder. You're the human who saved my mama? Hyunwoo knelt down to her level. I guess I am. Though your mama makes it sound more impressive than it was. Mama says you're a hero, Haewon said seriously. Your mama is kind, but I'm just a mechanic. Ji-woo came out and greeted them. She'd met Baek Seol before and liked her immediately. Young-sik stayed in the background, still nervous around the Supreme Commander even though she'd been nothing but friendly to him. They sat in the ship's common area. Baek Seol accepted tea, which she'd learned to like during her time with humans. Hae-won drank juice and looked around the ship with endless curiosity. I have a favor to ask, Baek Seol said. Hae-won is learning about different species and their histories. I wanted her to hear your story from you directly. Not from books or teachers, from the person who lived it. There's not much to tell, Hyunwoo protested. Please, Hae-won said. I want to hear it. How could he say no to those big red eyes? Hyunwoo settled back in his chair and began. He told her about Station Meridian 7. About the salvage work. About finding a small, injured creature in a destroyed ship. He kept it simple, leaving out how scared he'd been, how poor, how hopeless life had seemed back then. Hae-won listened with complete focus. When he described setting the broken leg, She looked at her mother's leg, seeing the small limp that was still there. "Did it hurt, Mama?" she asked. "Probably," Hyun-woo admitted. "But she was brave. She let me help her." He told her about the 3 weeks of care, about calling her mother Snow, about waking up one day to find her gone. He ended with the truth. "And then I forgot all about it. Life moved on. I never thought I'd see her again." "But you did see her again," Haewon said. "She came back and saved your whole species." "She did," Hyun-woo agreed. "Your mother is pretty amazing." Baek Seol's ears flattened with embarrassment, the Felinar equivalent of blushing. "You make me sound noble. I was just repaying a debt." "It wasn't about debt," Hyun-woo said. "You came because you wanted to help, because you're a good person. That's what matters." They talked for hours. Haewon asked endless questions. Why did he help? Wasn't he afraid? What did her mother eat? How did she act? Hyun-woo answered everything honestly. Finally, Baek Seol said they needed to leave. Haewon hugged Hyun-woo's leg, the only part of him she could reach. "Thank you for saving Mama," she whispered. "Thank you for sharing her with us," Hyun-woo replied. At the airlock, Baek Seol paused. "You know, the galaxy is different now. Other species are watching what happened between humans and Felinar. Some are starting to reconsider their own policies. Acts of mercy are becoming less rare. You started something, Hyun-woo. I just helped an injured animal. You keep saying that." Baek Seol smiled, showing sharp teeth. But the galaxy heard a different story. They heard that a human saw suffering and couldn't walk away, that this simple act of compassion saved billions of lives. Other species want that kind of power. They're trying to understand it. "Compassion isn't power," Hyun-woo said. "Isn't it? Look what it accomplished. An alliance that should never have happened. A war ended before it could truly begin. 2 species learning to see each other as friends instead of strangers." Baek Seol touched his shoulder gently. "You changed the galaxy, my friend. Accept it." Ache. After they left, Ji-woo came and stood next to Hyun-woo. They watched Baek Seol's shuttle fly away toward the diplomatic vessel waiting in orbit. "She's right, you know," Ji-woo said. "You did change things. I didn't mean to. That's what makes it meaningful." She took his hand. "You helped because it was right, not because you wanted glory. That's why the story matters. It reminds people that goodness exists." Over the next few years, the legend grew. The Mechanic and the Cat became one of the most famous stories in human space. But more than that, it spread to other species. The Felinar told it to their children. Trade partners heard it. Even the Velkron, in their defeated territory, told the story as a warning about underestimating compassion. New treaties were formed. Other isolationist species became more open. The Felinar example showed that reaching out to others didn't mean weakness. Several species that had been on the brink of war chose peace instead, citing the Covenant of Snow as inspiration. Hyun-woo tried to stay out of the spotlight. He worked on his ship, traveled with Ji-woo, taught Young-sik everything he knew about engines. He lived a simple, good life. But everywhere he went, people recognized him. Some asked for autographs. Some just wanted to shake his hand. Some told him about how his story inspired them to be kinder. One night, 10 years after the Covenant of Snow, Hyun-woo was working in the engine room. Ji-woo had retired to bed. Young-sik was visiting his family on a nearby colony. The ship was quiet and peaceful. The comm system chimed. Hyun-woo almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Hello?" he said. "Hyun-woo." It was Baek Seol's voice. "Are you alone?" "Yes. Is everything okay?" "Everything is fine. I just wanted to talk. I'm on my ship, alone in my quarters. Couldn't sleep. Being Supreme Commander and Ambassador is exhausting sometimes." They talked for hours, like old friends. About life, about the changes in the galaxy, about small everyday things that mattered more than grand politics. Hyun-woo told her about the weird noise the engine was making that he couldn't quite fix. Do you ever regret it? Baek-seol asked quietly. Saving me? You could have had a quiet life. Now you're famous, recognized everywhere. People expect things from you. Hyun-woo thought about it honestly. Sometimes the attention is annoying. But regret? Never. I met you. I helped stop a war. I learned that small choices can matter. How could I regret any of that? You're a good person, Hyun-woo. So are you, Snow. She laughed at the old nickname. Only you still call me that. Would you prefer I call you Supreme Commander? From you? Never. Snow is perfect. They said goodnight. Hyun-woo turned off the comm and looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of people lived their lives in peace because of a choice he barely remembered making, because he couldn't walk away from suffering, because kindness mattered. He returned to working on the engine, grease on his hands, doing what he loved. A simple mechanic who changed the galaxy, not through weapons or politics or grand speeches, but through one small act of compassion that echoed across the stars. And that, he thought,